The most important skill in this world is to be liked and to be interesting. People will say, oh, I'm very good at web development, oh, I'm very good at video editing. Great. But does anybody like you? Does anybody find you interesting? If not, they're not going to pay you large amounts of money. Yes, as a good web developer who's a sociopath, you can make some decent amounts of money. The same web developer who is a sociopath and does not talk to people and does not have any skills will make an insanely large amount of money if they're interesting and they have a good likability. In this video, I'm going to talk about the top 3 types of hobbies that you need to do so that you can broaden your mind in different aspects. And honestly, I truly think hobbies are part of my work. If I was not likable and if I was not interesting and if I could not have some charm when I talk to people, it would be very, very difficult for me to get new clients, make new, engage people the way I do. So without diving too much around it, let me just get into the top 3 types of hobbies that you need to get into. Number 1 is fighting of any sort. Now people will like to argue about, oh, kickboxing is better than boxing, which is better than jiu-jitsu, taekwondo, doesn't matter. Fighting is not about your ability to fight in a street. In fact, I personally have never got into a street fight in my whole life and I don't plan on getting into a street fight ever. But you know what fighting teaches you? Fighting teaches you that once you get punched in the face and you're knocked out, your move has to be to get back up. Because if you're punched in the face and you're on the ground, you're going to keep getting more punches. And you need to be able to cover yourself, you need to be able to get up as soon as times are tough and all that. So I've not been fighting for a very long time. But the fact is that since I've started fighting, I've reacted very, very differently to situations where I've got knocked out. I've reacted very, very differently to adverse circumstances. I've reacted very, very differently to criticisms. And the reason for this is very, very straightforward. When you're in a ring with a person, your goal is to get hit as much as possible. In fact, it's not about how hard you can hit, it's about how hard you can get hit. Number 2 is something related to the ocean. The ocean is the most humbling thing on the planet. I've seen many people who are completely not humble, who think very highly of themselves. As soon as they get into the ocean, they're drowning. You know what happens when you enter the ocean? If you start panicking, if you're worried, you're going to drown. The key to the ocean is remaining calm. Now, there are many sorts of hobbies related to the ocean. There's swimming, scuba diving, snorkeling, free diving, surfing, driving boats, etc. But what you need to understand is more about the mindset. You need to know that in a very, very adverse circumstance, the best move for me is to remain calm. I'll tell you 2 stories. But when I was learning scuba diving for the first time, it was 3 of us who were underwater at the time. I accidentally knocked out the mouthpiece of one of the guys. And I turned around and I see, oh my God, this guy who's diving for the first time does not have a mouthpiece. And I started panicking. I was insanely scared about, oh my God, is he going to die? Have I just killed him? So what I did is I took the mouthpiece out of my mouth and I put it in his mouth, which is not the right thing to do. When you're scuba diving, you're supposed to take your second mouthpiece and give it to the person. And you know what happened then? I'm panicking even more because now I can't breathe. And now this guy is looking at me panicking and he's also panicking again. And it was just like a complete mess. Luckily, one of the teachers kind of saved us by getting everything back in place. But if in that situation I had just remained calm and taken 1 second to think, he would not have drowned with 1 extra second of holding his breath. But the situation would have been handled much better. Take it 2-3 years later. Me and one of my girlfriends were taking a boat across 2 islands. And it was a 4-hour boat, but around 1 hour in, the boat broke down in the middle of the ocean. And this is a very, very scary situation to be in. Luckily, there was a nearby island where we got stranded. Now, we're essentially about 110 of us stranded on a random island in Indonesia. No food, no water, nothing to do, and we don't know when the next boat is coming. The captain keeps saying the next boat is coming in 20 minutes, but he's already said that like 5 times. At this point, people started losing their shit. People are yelling, people are throwing things around, people are thinking, oh, let me just swim. At this point of time, I was completely calm. Even the girl I was with was losing her shit, but because of my calmness, I was able to kind of put that on her. There is no situation in life where being calm is not helpful. I've had a lot of stressful situations in the last few years, and just knowing that even in the worst situation, I can be calm is very, very confidence inducing. I know that, even if things go tough, I'm just going to be calm and I'm going to take it 1 step at a time. Everybody has tough times in their life. I know people who have had like somewhat tough times and they've kind of ruined entire generations based on something that happened on a day. They have ruined their lives, ruined their children's lives, and possibly ruined their children's lives. Think of it this way. If at every point of life you're doing the best move and just constantly moving forward, despite how much people are trying to push you back or how much life is trying to push you back, you're still going to move forward. What happens is people run really fast, people move at a very insane speed, and then one punch and then they just fall down and they've lost everything. Number 3 is something that keeps your brain sharp. But let's say you're a coder. You should do something like art. You should do something like music or philosophy or something like that. That keeps your brain sharp. Because a big problem that people have is that they think in only one direction. If you've been coding for 5-10 years without having any other hobbies that keep your brain active, you have a very, very narrow way of thinking. But if you can kind of extrapolate that as like learning how artists think, because everybody thinks differently. A musician and a coder don't think in the same way. If you learn how somebody who's into astrology thinks, I know a lot of people think astrology is bullshit and I don't have any opinion on that. But what is more important is understanding the thought process of someone who does astrology. Who knows, man, one day, 10 years from now, you're building a product for an astrology company. It's not only about building the product for the right person, it's more about perspective. You need to be able to see things from a different lens. If this doesn't entice you, I'll tell you one more good hack that comes out of this. Let's say you're on a date with a girl. Most likely her hobbies are going to be astrology, cooking, makeup. You know how she thinks. And there is no situation where that is bad for you. So just knowing how other people think, just knowing, what they want you to say or what you can say to them to make yourself more likable is always going to help you. If you want to know more about random career things, or if you want to just hear my thoughts on something else, please let me know in the comments. I'm kind of new to this whole YouTube thing. And I would like to know if there's anything you want me to make content on. I do have a bit edgy takes on some things. And I know a lot of people don't agree with me on a lot of my opinions, but I always feel it's interesting to listen to other people's opinions and other people's thought process. So if you feel you disagreed with something I said, if you feel I should not have said what I said about being good on dates, then just let me know in the comments.